Good afternoon. I'd like to talk to you today about something that Storm said on the Storm Show. It's really about pensioners and the way they're treated. Firstly, this man on the show, and he was quite definite in what he said, that he felt pensioners should give up their houses and downsize once they get to 65 and over, because younger people can't get it. Well, firstly, if my ex-husband was to downsize, no one would want to give him 450,000. Young people can't afford to buy that, no. So who are we buying it? Not the young people on the market anyway. Secondly, he said that he and his wife and his 4-month-old child have just bought a 3-bedroom house, and one's an office. And if they wanted another child, they'd have to buy a bigger house. Oh my dear. So he's allowed to have a bigger house to use one as an office. But old people aren't allowed to. People about pensionable age aren't allowed to have a room to do art, craft, or do maybe use an office. But not everyone over 65 is retired. You're not allowed to retire till you're 67 anyway. And those that are retired at 67 probably need to work for money. Even if they have this house, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house, they still need to work, a lot of them. If they don't want to, good luck on them. But no one should be telling them they should get rid of the house, especially an upstart like him, who's got a 3-bedroom house. Why isn't he going to downsize so someone else can get a 2-bedroom house like him? He's got one child, he needs a 2-bedroom house by his motto. And then Storm is all for it. She said, well, I think maybe her whole attitude was yes. And every one of her shows, she sort of puts this sort of like, well, I'm only doing this as a hostess. I'm only as a presenter talking about it. I don't really feel it. But you can tell she is. She's putting a lot of clout behind it. I used to like her, but I'm very much against her now. Pensioners this, pensioners that. It's just beyond a joke. Now, pensioners' only fault is that they get older. They can't help it. It's nature. But young people seem to think that we had it so good when we were younger. Well, okay, a lot of people can't buy houses now. But the money they earn, the wages they earn, is in comparison to what we earned. When I started the nurse, I earned £5 a week. Now, a nurse starts out a lot more than that now. Okay, they said cost of living, but £5 a week was a pittance. I managed to run a car though. Well, my mum bought it for me. I paid petrol for it. And I didn't pay any rent to her because I was living at home. But it wasn't a lot of money. And then, when I got married, my husband was the bread man at first. Not a lot of money. And then my mum, being a bit of a snob, said, oh, he's cut the brain. Why is he doing that? This is what her background is. So she put him through college, and he came out with a very good qualification in computing. He was, I can't remember what you call it now, but an analyst. He was an analyst. And he made a lot of money with the company. He made them a lot of money. And so he moved on. But while he was at college, my mum paid for our mortgage for 2 years. She bought us a car. So, well, she bought us 2 cars. So he could have one to go to work, which he needed. And I had a Mini, which was really my sister's, who went to Canada. So she gave that to me so I could run around with the kids. But, if she didn't pay our mortgage, buy our food, pay electric and gas, we'd have been really hard up. So I was privileged. I was lucky. But for a lot of other people, they're not. So his idea that we all had money is a fallacy and absolutely pathetic. We had to struggle as well. I keep saying we. I'm talking about people of age over 65. And I did struggle, because I was a nurse. I had to work, and I moved into the dorms, and I struggled a bit. Nothing like a proper struggle, but they didn't have life handed to me on a plate. If I didn't have parents that would help me out, which I very badly relied on a lot, I would have been struggling like a lot of people struggle. When my sister got married, they had a horrible flat they rented. It was horrendous. They shared it with the bathroom with someone else, and the toilet, and was separate, and they shared the kitchen upstairs. And that was, while her husband again was training to be an electrician. Once he got it, they got a nice house up in Long Eaton. And then they eventually emigrated to Canada, and their life just escalated to fantastic life because he did more and more qualifications, and Canada's up and coming 40 and 50 years ago. So they did really well, and she's lived there all that time now. Because my son is 48 now, and he was a year when she went. So 47 years they went to Canada. Oh God, it's a long time. But people had to struggle. They had to get mortgages. Mortgages cost money in those days. Everything. Not everyone had a house. Not everyone could buy a house. Probably no more than now. There's a lot of people who couldn't buy a house. And I mean, a lot of people in Germany, they rent. They don't believe in buying a house. So if you can't afford a house, rent. But then renting is so expensive. But then wages are so good for the people who could buy houses. Because even when I was young, there's a certain people that would never buy houses because they didn't have jobs that would ever give them the money to buy a house. So it doesn't change. It's a certain class of people that could buy houses, the one that did degrees or did good qualifications at school or were gifted. Not everyone could buy it. Just like now, not everyone can buy it. If you had a job like you're a broker or something like that, or a doctor, or even a nurse now, you can afford to buy a house. But it was same in those days. So I just wish he would shut up and not go on TV and talk just a load of rubbish, because that's what is, rubbish. And then let's move on to Storm. She has this thing on that maybe we should pay for parents who've had children, women who've had children, to have exercise. Well, no. We as pensioners shouldn't get heating allowance. We as pensioners shouldn't get a lot of things. So why would someone who's had the baby, who we didn't tell her to have the baby, we didn't say to get pregnant, we didn't say not to look after your body while you're pregnant and do exercise, so why should we pay for them to have exercise? Oh, it's socialising. Yeah, well, they can socialise. I socialised with my son, my first one, by going down to the normal mother and toddler thing. And I went there, I walked there with him in the pram, I socialised, I came back, I went to their house, they came to my house. I didn't have this home pay for it for me. And this club was doing, there's loads of clubs in England that's free now. You can go to with your child, mother and baby club, and you can sit and have coffee. So, and then you can back into your house, if you have a house, you can do exercise. But we will not pay for it. It's not right. We're not a rich country. There's much more important things to pay for, like pensioners. Not myself. I don't need the money. I mean, I'm not rich by any means. I haven't got a fantastic life. But I mean, I'm not by any chance hard up. I'm not by any chance in the way other people are. And I mean, I feel for everyone else. I mean, I've got a friend who's had 2 pensions because she worked all her life and then she got a second pension. And now she lost out on the heating allowance. Well, I do think a lot of people moan about the heating allowance are just greedy, because they are the ones that are working, and because they happen to get to, I'm not sure, it's 60. I'm not sure. Anyway, when they get to a certain age, they will get the pension. They'll get, this is when they retire, and a lot of them retire and still working, and they don't need it. My ex-husband does not need it. Loads of friends I have do not need it, should not get it. But I think there should be a cut-off line, because like my friend, her extra pension that she worked hard for and paid into pays for her rent. Now she's retired. While if she hadn't had that extra money and paid into it when she's younger, she would get pension credit and she'd get her rent and rates paid. So she's lost out by having got that. But she's, forget about that. She paid that, she loses out, too bad, But she shouldn't lose the heating allowance as well, because she's lost the heating allowance because she has a second pension. But she hasn't really, because the second pension is paying for her rent. When someone else who's getting free rent because they didn't have a second pension gets the heating allowance. So I think it should be a cut-off, like say, anyone who has more than 3,000 coming in a month would lose it. And then that will cover people with their pension, normal pension, and their extra extra private pension. So they would, a cut-off. I think something like that should be right. Not just, well, if you have a penny over the pension, you don't get it. That's not acceptable. And I think they really need to look at it and stop penalising pensioners. We're not rich. We don't get anything fantastic. 200, well, I get, I don't even get the full, I won't tell what I get, but I get the old people's pension. because I retired at 60. So when I retired at 60, it was what the proper pension, not the new pension, which is now, which I think is after 2016. People get the new pay, or 2018 get the new pension. So they, you know, are on £220 plus a week. But I wouldn't be. I don't get it, but I think the going pension for the proper pension is £160 a week. I mean, who can live on that? But then if you have no income, you can get pension credit, and it brings you up to what everyone else gets. And then you can also get your rent and your heat and everything paid, because that's where pension credit brings you up to the state pension now, which is 220. So what I can't understand is, though, you can have £10 in the bank and still get it. Well, if you can have £10 in the bank, you should use it. It shouldn't be there. Okay, you should have a little saving pot, maybe 4,000. But if 10,000, if you can have 10,000 in the bank and not touch it, you're not poor. Because if I had 10,000 in the bank, trust me, I'd be having a much nicer life. I'd go to Benidorm. I'd love to go to Dubai. It's my dream. I'd like to go to Cannes. I'd like to go to New York. There's loads of places. If I had 10,000, I'd be going places. Not leaving the bank so I can die and leave it there. So that's another thing that's another needs to sort it out. And I do think the government needs to talk to people like me and pensioners and ask them what they think, their opinion on how we're being treated. Because we're not asking for anything special. You know, if it's going free, I'm first in the queue. Oh yeah, if they said to me tomorrow, right, all pensioners can have an extra £200, I'll be down there in the queue. But I don't think we're entitled to it. I'm not going to fight to get it. And something else that might really shock you all, I hate Keir Sam. I think he's rubbish, he's a liar. I've got no time for the man. But I like Rachel Reeves. I think she's doing her best. I think we all have to suffer a bit to get better. I think she really is trying to get the country straight. And I like her. I don't like the Deputy Prime Minister. I think she's false. And I just don't like her. She's playing on the fact that she's from poor background. Those sort of people I don't trust when they use that in their poor background. That could play on the fact that I was from a family that was very well off and I had a good life. But I don't play on that. I play on the fact that I worked, went to university, got 2.5 degrees, got good jobs. In fact, I had so many jobs. I think if I try to get another job now, I'll probably try at every company. I've not tried. I've done everything. From being a nurse, working in the post office as the postal counter officer, a phlebotomist. I was a model when I was younger. Loads of things I've done. And I'm proud of it all. I'm the sort of person, if you annoy me at work, I'll just leave. And I don't care, I'll move out, get another job. But in those days I could. Now you couldn't. So you've got to be really careful. Anyway, I hope I've aired my grievances, and I hope people listen to me, and I hope people agree with me. If you do, please ping me and let me know. Is that the right word to use, ping me? I'm not sure. I'm not really au fait with this. But anyway, thank you for listening. Goodbye.